Good morning. This is Jane Ferrano from Empowered Living with Jane and also from Empowered Parenting. The message I have today is really for whether you're struggling with just life or parenting or whatever. I want to give a little shout out to my niece. I guess it is my niece, Abby. Thank you so much for watching these videos, and I'm making this video for you because you encouraged me to get back down here and make some more videos, and so thank you very much, and this one's for you. But what I'm going to talk about today is something that I talk about in almost any lesson that I ever teach, whether it's my classes at church or online, anywhere as I teach. It's always the basic for everything is what I'm going to talk about today. Because if you can't get what I'm going to talk about today under control in your life, so you feel like you have a pretty good understanding and a pretty good grasp of it, you can't be a good parent, you can't be a good wife, you can't be a good person to the fact of happiness. So we're talking about happiness because everything revolves about your attitude and your outlook on life and how you present yourself to the world. If you're always being sad or unhappy, it is your moral obligation to pursue happiness with everything you have. I have studied happiness for most of my life because I don't want to live unhappy. Like, I really have decided I can't tolerate that. And trust me, I've had a lot of things over the years happen that has challenged everything that I'm going to teach you today. Because we all have stuff. Sometimes people look from the outside and they think, oh my gosh, your life is so perfect. What could ever make you unhappy? Of course you're going to be happy. You have a beautiful family, you have a beautiful husband, a beautiful home, all the things that from the outside looking in says, of course you'd be happy. If I had all that, I'd be happy too. But let me tell you, it doesn't mean that hard stuff didn't come our way. We had to, from the beginning, we had to practice what I'm going to teach today. And if you don't do this, you're always going to be struggling with depression and unhappiness and anxieties and just all the things that go along with that. Because there are certain basic rules in life. And three things that I talk about on a regular basis. Number one, you have to have your faith in God. Like, if you don't have that, you're always going to struggle. Because who do you go to in the time of need? Who do you pray to in the time of need? Who do you give blessings to when things are good? And do you do that? Your faith in God is everything. To know that you have salvation and to know that you have an everlasting life and an everlasting love and a Father in heaven that loves you and is looking out for you and wants to help you. And I know sometimes when you're in the midst of trauma, you think he doesn't care about me at all, or he wouldn't be allowing all this stuff to go through in my life. And that's just absolutely not true. If you think of all the big names in the Bible, they had a lot worse going on in their life than we do. But somehow we don't want to think about that. We want to think, that our life is just going to be rosy and God is going to be there to just bless us and to give us all of our wants and desires. And if he didn't do that, then he doesn't love us. That's just not true. That's just not true. I need you to think about the people you know in the Bible that had a really hard time. Paul, David, the big names, Abraham. There's a lot of big issues that they had to learn to deal with. You cannot be powerful, successful in life if you don't have some struggles. You just can't. If you don't have failures, if you don't have things that come your way that make you strong, you'll always be weak. It's how you handle those things as they come in your life that makes you stronger. So the second thing that I talk about is law of attraction. And I always say, not the woohoo kind. I don't like this wish upon a star and things are going to just fall in your lap. However, even the Bible talks about you reap what you sow. And I believe that we are made up of energy, and the energy that we put out into the world is what comes back to us. I do believe that. I've seen it happen over and over and over. When you're in a negative state, in a negative place, and you are being woe is me, and you're a victim, and you feel like, oh my gosh, I can't handle life, and everything you talk about is down, down, down. It never gets better. It just seems like it never gets better. You think, oh my gosh, I can't take any more, and then something else happens, and then something else happens. That's not God punishing you. It's not. It's just sort of how life works. And I'm saying even I keep myself in a pretty positive state on as much as I possibly can, and still things come my way. But the only way I get through them and stay stronger is I shift my thinking, I shift my attitude, I shift how I perceive the world so that I can get back in focus and go about my life and be happy. My husband and I made a commitment a few years ago when we had a lot of stuff going on. He had spinal fusion done, he had a major back issue, he couldn't even walk, he couldn't move, he couldn't breathe, his pain was so bad. And in the middle of all that, his company, who pays us a pretty good salary, decided to go bankrupt. And they did some really sketchy things that made us very angry. And there was we had just built our dream house. There was a lot of things going on all at the same time. And I thought I couldn't survive it. And I had one day where I was feeling sorry for myself and I didn't think that I could survive this. I'm like, we built all this and you're gonna just take it away from us in the time of when we wanted it the most and we prayed so hard for it, and why are you taking it away? But you know what? We sat in our chairs and said, you know what? I don't care if we have to go back to living in a one-bedroom apartment. We are going to commit to happiness, no matter what. And there's been times over the last 10 years that we've had to say, you know what? No matter what, we are committed to happiness. And it's so important because if you let your mind go down that path of feeling sorry for yourself and God doesn't love me and God won't take care of me and God, that's just not true. We learned more about our faith in God through those difficult times than I've learned in my whole life, because I had to learn to trust Him. I had to learn to put my faith where it needed to be. I had to know that no matter what happened, God was still with me. He still loved me. He wasn't trying to destroy me. John 10:10 says, the devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy, but I came that you might have life to abundance to overflowing. Like, He wants us to have all of the good things. But see, here's the thing. We don't always truly put our faith in God. We say we do, we pray, and we think we're giving it to Him, but we immediately pick it right back up, and our self-talk defeats us. We start letting our brain, and it becomes a habit. We've trained our brain to think on the negative. We've trained our brain to think on the woe is me. We've trained our brain to not be happy. You have to shift that. You have to literally stop your brain and say, no, I'm not going to think that way. Because who is that brain that's in your head? Who is that person or that thing or that mind that is telling you all the bad things? Because is that really true? Is that what God wants you to think? No, it is not. So when He says, cast your cares upon Him, it means you give it to Him and you walk away. And you say, you know what, I'm not going to worry about that. I'm not going to concern myself with it. I will go through the steps of whatever I can do to make these situations better. You have to take action. Let's be real. That's going to come in play in just a minute with the next thing I'm going to talk about. But you have to go, you know what, God, you have this. You know what the future holds. I am not going to let myself be unhappy because of this situation, really, no matter what it is. The third thing is 100% personal accountability. See, this is where sometimes things really fall apart. Because 100% personal accountability means I am in charge of my life with God's help. I cannot blame my life and my problems on my family, my husband, my job, anything. Circumstances that just come. I'm going to own my life. I am in charge of my own brain. I am in charge of my own life. I am in charge of my own actions. And I will take 100% accountability for where I am and for the choices I've made that have got me here and for what I can do to move past those things that are holding me back. I am a self-evaluator. I've been that way my whole life. I'm always looking at the pros and cons and what can I do and where are things working and where are things not working and what can I do to shift. because I am wanting to be a victor in life and not a victim. And sometimes you have to hold yourself accountable and you say, I've made some mistakes, but you know what? From this day forward, I am going to push forward. I'm going to do things right. I'm going to love God. I'm going to love my family. And I'm going to choose to keep a positive attitude no matter what comes through my path. I'm going to be a leader to people. I'm going to speak power into people. I'm going to speak truth into people. I am going to be a person of influence. I want to show through my life what God can really do for someone. I am not going to stay down here. I refuse. Because when you do stay down here, you're saying, Satan, go ahead and run my life, because I don't really believe that God can. I'm going to let you do it. I'm going to stay in depression. I'm going to stay in, and I get it. There are some chemical things. Like, I get that. I'm talking about life circumstances. If you need medicine, get the medicine. If you need some therapy, get some therapy. If you need to talk to a pastor, talk to a pastor. But take actions in your life that will improve you. Read books, watch videos like this every day. Not once in a while, not once in a blue moon when you're feeling bad. Every day, watch something empowering. Start empowering yourself. Start rethinking things. Do I want to be a victim or do I want to be a victor? Do I want to commit to happiness? Truly, do I want to commit to happiness? What kind of life do you want to live? You got one shot at this world, guys. One shot. This is it. And wherever you are in that time in your life, I implore you to take the actions you need to make your life work. Be happy. Commit to happiness. Say, you know what, God? I know you want what's good for me, and I'm going to do everything I can to keep a better attitude, to be a loving person, to be loving to my family, to be loving to my spouse, to be loving to the people around me. Get your mind off yourself. Get your mind off yourself. Put your mind on someone else. Get out there and help someone else. Do something for someone else. You have got to stop focusing on yourself, because a lot of this stuff, and this is going to be harsh to say to some people, is when you are depressed, and this came from Tony Robbins, not me. When you are depressed, think about how much you focus on you. You're thinking, oh, woe is me. I've got this and I've got that, and I'm fat and I'm ugly and I'm worthless and I'm all the negative talk. What are you doing? You're focusing on you. You're looking at yourself and critiquing every little thing in your life and how bad you are and how worthless you are, and you just curl up in a ball and you lay in bed and you think and think and think and think. The best thing you can do to get out of depression is to get moving and go focus on someone else. It's really just as simple as that. Be grateful. Live your life in gratitude. Be always thinking about what is good in your life. Be always thinking about, what can I do for someone else? How can I help? How can I be a better person? What can I read? It is a constant thing. And the deeper you are in depression and the deeper you are in sadness, the more you have to do it. Otherwise, if you're able to, just go about and be happy. Like, I cast my stuff and I go about and be happy. My mom passed away January 3rd this year. Now, I have to say that there started the self-talk of, I should have done more, I shouldn't have done this, I should have done that, I should have. And it started making me feel bad. And I was like, you know what? My mom loved me to death. I loved her to death. I did everything I could in my power to help her. I shifted my thinking to being happy for her. She was in heaven with my dad, which is where she always wanted to be, and I just went about being happy. And I know that sounds bizarre to some people, that you can just move on like that, but even when I think of her now, I don't let myself be overwhelmed with grief. I think, I'm so happy she's in heaven with my dad. It makes me shift my thinking and not go inward, but go outward and say, you know what, God, life and death is in your hands. It is in your hands. And I'm going to trust that this was the perfect timing for her, and I'm going to thank you for it, and I'm going to just move on with my life. And then when I think of her, I can think of her in a positive way and think, you know what, Mom, I just loved you, and I loved how much you loved us. You were love. And it makes me happy. It just does. So I hope this message is really helpful for somebody today. Please take a minute and really think about this. Make a commitment to happiness. It's the best gift you can give to yourself. That's all I've got for now. This is Jane Ferrano. I love you all. Go have a wonderful, blessed day and be grateful. I love you. Bye-bye.